So, good morning, all you beautiful, wonderful, amazing, spectacular tea people. Today is, of course, a beautiful spring day here in Taiwan, and I'm still in Hualien. So, I'm still in Hualien. I'm still here in this beautiful area. I am not. I haven't gone over to Alishan. I haven't gone anywhere yet. I'm planning it out. I'm hoping that it's not going to be next week, but it's going to be the week after. I thought I would go through and do something that I haven't really done before, which is something kind of rare. Now, most places that do white tea, they only do white tea once. They only do white tea sort of at certain times of the year. But with Sanxia, my friends at Sanxia, they do white tea all the time. And so this one over here is the wintertime Sanxia. So this was done on December the 8th. And over here, this one is the springtime Sanxia white, which was done the 18th or the 24th, I believe, of March. And so we're gonna just throw them together, see what they taste like, see the difference between them, sort of describe them and things like that. Now, if you can see behind me here, this is the first day that there has been like a real. This is the first day there's been like a real sunny day since the earthquake on this. Now, on the YouTube down here, if you look over here on the YouTube, you can actually see there's a bunch of fresh landslides. So what I'm going to do right now, actually, I'll just show it to you. This here, I'm going to take this over here. And so let's see here. Right, so I'm actually going to show you sort of the mountain over here. And if you see after the earthquake, I'm going to zoom in. And you can actually see all of those. Those are all fresh landslides over there. So those are all fresh landslides on that mountain range. And so this one didn't have too many over there. But over here, that's a fresh landslide right there. So you can sort of see there was sort of there was a difference, and there was something that happened there. Now, if you're on the YouTube, if you're watching this on the YouTube, you can jump over onto the Instagram, and you can look back and you can see sort of what that sort of looked like. But today, like I said, is just the most amazingly beautiful day. Like it's just beautiful. How is the state of Central Island Cross Island Highway? The Central Cross Island Highway. I would definitely say look up YouTube, and they're saying 3 to 5 years before the Taroko Gorge will be back to what it was a month ago. So that's kind of where we're at. The road itself probably will be open probably in about 6 to 8 weeks. But it was pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal up there. So, like I think I've mentioned it before, before in my other lifetimes, I was a wilderness guide up in those areas. And so I know them quite well. And so it's quite an interesting just overall, just a very, very interesting time period. But, just get in touch with your instincts, learn your instincts, do well with your instincts, because your instincts will tell you what to do. And my instincts told me about 6 or 7 years ago, get out of the tourism industry, right? Something's going to happen. They're going to close down travel. And so I got out in time. And but yeah, anyways, let's get going with the tea. So, Sanxia white. What is Sanxia white? Sanxia white is a pretty typical white tea. Now, there's various white teas we've had on the site over the years, and Taiwanese white teas are not as, what's the right word? Militant as Chinese white teas. There's people who, it's just not a white tea, you manipulate. They're more flexible, they're more flowing. There's different things you can do with these types of teas. And so what you can do with the white teas in Taiwan is you can actually sort of manipulate them a little bit, and it won't matter too much. Now, if you look at the sort of the hybrid white on the if you look at the hybrid white on the website right now, that one looks like a black tea, right? So just again to renew it, I'm sure tea nerds, you all know this, right? What's the difference between all the various teas? Is oxidization. A white tea, you pick the white tea, you place it, and then you don't touch it. You just walk away. You just walk away from that tea, and you let it dry. That is typically a white tea. Now, that basically never happens in Taiwan, or if it does, it's just so extraordinarily rare, because doing that is not a guarantee you actually get a good tea. It's actually almost a guarantee that you don't get a good tea, because you need the perfect humidity. You need the perfect, so the only people that actually pull that off are the snow mist white, because they have this room where they control the humidity and they control the temperature. And so because they can control the humidity and they can control the temperature, they can pull off that amazing Sanxia white tea, which is otherworldly good, right? If you've ever had that tea, it's just otherworldly good. Now, what these guys do is they are sometimes white teas are good, sometimes the white teas are not so good, but they pick it and then they gently manipulate it. Now, they don't roll it. It's more like going like this. And so what you get with the leaves is, I can't really show it to you, but you do get here, I'll show you some of these leaves. You do get sort of a greenish color to the leaves. You can't really tell. I can't really tell. Anyways, you do get a greenish color to the leaves, but you also get a little bit of the bruising that comes from oxidization and things like that. A little bit of that off color, right? So that's what we're looking at with Sanxia white, and that's what makes it so good, because it brings in the sweetness, right? So if you do just pick and dry, you get this very subtle flavor, and you get the soul of the tea. You get the soul of the tea. Sometimes the soul of the tea is not very good. And if the soul of the tea is not very good, you just wasted a lot of time and a lot of patience doing that. So if you manipulate a little bit, you up your chances of getting a nice tea to drink. Now, I probably should have brought my little spoon, but I didn't. So I guess I'm just going to be slurping these guys. I'm just sort of starting to set up this spot. I haven't really done it quite too well. I really should. I should work harder on that. Anyways. Wintertime versus springtime. Now, we've gone over wintertime versus springtime oolongs 100 times, right? So wintertime is you're going to have thicker leaves, more florals, stronger vegetals. And then the springtime leaves, you're going to have all of it. So you have the sweetness, the softness, right? You got the bottom levels for the florals, and then as it comes up and is tender up at the top, you're getting the more fruit flavors, the softer flavors for the springtime tea. So there's the big difference between them. Now, when you're looking at white teas, and especially the lower elevation white teas, I don't actually know the difference. The biggest difference is going to be the amount of sunlight, basically. So this was in December, so the sunlight was less. This one was in March, so the sunlight's going to be more. The temperatures probably were relatively similar. This one will be a little bit cooler. But in Sanxia, this one wasn't exactly the hottest. Wasn't exactly the hottest day either. So, I mean, it's like, I don't really know. There's probably not going to be, okay, anyways, here we go. Let's just do it, right? Let's just go. So what I'll probably do after this is I'll probably set it up on the website. So, sometimes in the past I've done things like springtime, wintertime, whatever it is, and I'll put them both at the same time, and you can try 50 grams of this, 50 grams of that. I'll do the same thing with this, because I've got about, I don't know, maybe a kilogram of this left, and then I bought a bunch of this because this one was really good. This was the springtime one. And the first thing that's going to pop out at trying these two different teas together is almost the exact opposite of oolongs. It's almost the exact opposite of oolongs. And yeah, so unfortunately around here, they're starting now, but there's these little, they call them King Kong bugs, or basically they're little black flies. And if you've never been to this area, then these little black flies come out and they get you, like they really get you. And when they really get you, you suffer for like weeks at a time. I remember my father years ago, the first time he came, he suffered for about 3 months, huge welts from these things. The second time he came less, third time he came less. Now, for me, when I get bitten by these things, it doesn't do anything. They're kind of annoying though. So if you see me slapping my head or doing things like that, then that's what it is. They're little noceums, but they don't affect me basically at all anymore, which is nice. It's the opposite. So this has got more vegetal. This has got more vegetal, sort of blast of floral, rounder mouthfeel. It's softer. It's softer for sure. This one is almost like drinking, it's just sweet water. It's soft. It's super sweet. In the back end, though, it's got a little bit more of a punch to it in the background. Right? So there's a little bit more bitterness and astringency in this one. No, just astringency. And I should have a spoon for this. I apologize. Taking leaves out of my mouth. But I can have like a dedicated spoon right here. I'll do that as soon as this live is done. Now, when I'm looking at the aftertaste between these two, it's still basically the same, still flowing. It's really quite nice. Now, I think I talked about this last live stream as well with the Ruby 18. When you're looking at something like a lower elevation tea, I could go deep and say, oh, this is winter, this is spring. You're not getting as big a difference with the oolongs, with the lower elevation teas. Now, some of them for sure, right? So some of them for sure, like for example, a greenish Four Seasons, right? You can definitely tell the difference between the wintertime and the spring. But the vast majority of lower elevation teas, you're not really telling all that big of a difference in the seasons compared to the higher elevation teas. So, as I say, I market the snow pick and the spring pick and the wintertime pick. And some people say, I love the fall pick. I love the spring pick. They all have their favorite seasons. The lower elevation teas, it's a little tougher. It doesn't really work in the same way. And so these teas, the difference is there, but I wouldn't say it was an overwhelming difference. If I was going to choose between the two right now, I would probably choose the wintertime tea just because it's a little bit sweeter. And I have a sweet tooth, so I quite enjoy the sweeter teas. It's got a little bit of a melon aftertaste as well. But I wouldn't say this tea is completely different, right? This tea is not different almost at all, right? So this tea is it's got more vegetal. It's got more roundness. Like I said, it's kind of mixed up almost, right? So this usually the oolongs for the wintertime have more vegetals and things like that. This is just basically sweet. It's just like really beautiful sweet water. And this one over here is got more of the roundness. It's definitely sweet. It's got some fruit flavors. It's got some vegetal flavors. It's got a little bit more earthiness and all that type of stuff. So it's got all those things mixed together. It's fun. I like this tea. I do. I really, really do. Now this one too is also got like what, 4 months? No. 4 months, yeah. It's got about 4 months on it. And as with all high quality teas, the high quality cultivar, the longer you leave it, chances are the better it's going to taste. So that's not quite fair. Like this is only, I guess, about what? Oh, I guess it's about a month old. So this is only a month old. So this is like 4 months old. So this is going to have a little bit more depth to it because of that. Not that much, but a little bit more depth. And this one's sort of much fresher. But side by side, it's actually pretty fun to check it out because it's so different, right? It's so different. What you're looking at when you're looking at white teas is something completely different to it's a grass seed in there. So organic teas, you never know what you're going to find in organic teas. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the tells that your tea is organic. You find things like grass seeds or, um, flowers that shouldn't be there or something like that. Um, but I would say that this one will probably age into something a little bit better. If I was going to make, like, say, a tea cake, if I was going to press this into a tea cake, I'd do it with this. And this is really good for drinking, but by no means is one better than the other in the sense of objective better than the other. It's pretty subjective on what you think about it and how you would want to drink your white tea. But yeah, what I think I'll do right now, actually, I'll finish this up. I'm going to go over, I'll write it up, and I'll do, I'll put both the wintertime, I'll count up how much I've got left of the winter, and I'll do the wintertime and the springtime tea side by side. So if you want to try it, you can get 25 grams of each for the same price of 50 grams because that's fun. Yes, Eagle, Teagle. Yes, today is a very, very sunny day. It's quite beautiful. And there's a little touch of a breeze, so I'm not sweating quite as hard as I was the last time I did it. It's earlier too. But does anybody have any questions about this? I mean, again, you probably shouldn't be drinking your teas like this. And I definitely will be getting a little cup and a little spoon and just placing it right here for the future. But updates for springtime, from all accounts, I've heard nothing. And what does that mean? That means no one wants to jinx it, so nobody's talking about anything. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's saying it's good. Nobody's saying it's bad. Everybody's just like, get through the spring, like, don't start raining. No more earthquakes. No more nothing crazy. Just pick the tea, make the tea, and get it done. And so I think this year is going to be a pretty good tea. Taipei is also sunny. Well, that's good to hear. Here we get a lot more sun than Taipei does. Anywhere else in Taiwan that you enjoyed white teas from? That's a great question. And the answer is not so much. Pingling, of course, right? So what you need for white tea, and I talked about this briefly, but I'll let you know the secret because who's actually going to be watching this. And so my friends who have told me the secret will not get too angry. But what you need is about 80% relative humidity and 20 degrees. And was it 80? 20 degrees. Basically, it's 20 degrees and not too humid, but not too dry. Sort of in the middle somewhere. I think it was 60. That's not the most important part. The point is air blowing through, good ventilation, and 20 degrees. And if you can pick the teas and place them and dry them at 20 degrees over a long period of time, preferably about 3 days, you will create an amazing, beautiful tea. So again, this is the secret. I shouldn't be telling you this, but chances are, right? So you need sort of mid-range humidity, good flow, and a constant temperature about 20 degrees. Now, in Taiwan, where can you get that? Well, I'll tell you where you can get that. You can get that in Pingling, you can get that in Sanxia, you can get that in the north of Taiwan, and you can get that in the springtime in the north of Taiwan where it's breezy and not too wet, not too dry, and consistently 20 degrees. Now, if you want to do it the right way, in the sense of getting it right every time, you can have that controlled environment. And, for example, the snow mist white teas, that's a controlled environment, right? So that's a controlled environment. They have that. I've had some amazing teas from down in Taidong, which is way hotter, way drier. But what happened was, and they did it by accident, they picked the teas, they left it outside in the middle of wintertime, and it happened to be 20 degrees, breezy, and not too dry and not too cool. And they left it outside, and they created the most amazing tea. It was amazing, and they never did it again. And I tried it, and I'm like, can I buy this? And they're like, we don't know how we did it, so 1 gram, $5. I'm just like, come on, guys, like may do it consistently, please. And so that's the secret, and that's the secret. And so when you say, are there any parts of Taiwan that I've enjoyed the white teas? Well, yes, but oftentimes the white teas in Taiwan certainly are not consistent, right? That's number one. They are never consistently good. Never, never. One year they're great, one season they're great, one time they're great, the next time, tastes like crap. And let me tell you, bad white tea, there's nothing worse. Well, tea bags are worse, but bad white tea is right up there with really, 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 really skanky stuff. It tastes awful. And when you do it the right way, it's so night and day, right? White tea is the easiest to make with the highest risk reward. And so when they pull off that risk reward, they don't make very much of it, and they don't want to sell it for anything less than an arm and a leg. And so in Sanxia, they've got it down. They know how to make it. I've got a good relationship with them. And so I can just say, like, let me try this day. Oh, we made some white tea. Give me I'm buying all of it. Give me that day, right? Because it's not that much. They're really not making that much tea every day, a couple kilograms of tea. And so I'm just like, just give me the day, and if I really like 2 days, then I'll say, give me 2 days. But they're constantly making tea, right? So look, I mean, like this, it's hard. If you know what you're doing, if you're a tea master, it's hard to go wrong with this pick, right? If you have this pick, like, take a look, right? So that's the pick, right? So here we go. See it. So for both cameras, it's this much a leaf and a big old bud. That's the pick. And when you have this pick, and you know what you're doing, it's really, really hard to do it wrong. Fascinating. I expect the proximity to Fujian to make it more common, but I guess oolong supremacy is real. Oh, dude, it's, I'll say it again. Pound for pound, Taiwan has the best tea in the world. Pound for pound, right? You take the average of all the tea in Taiwan, you put it in a big pile, and you pull out the average. It's better than anywhere else in the world. And the reason is because of the tea masters, all right? And because they make oolong. So when you're making oolong, what you're looking at is when you're making oolong, you're looking at the tea master is the most important thing. You have to have good leaves, but the tea master is the most important thing, right? So with white tea, again, I would argue tea leaves are important. Tea master, not so much. You need to have that consistent, matters, but not as much as oolong. So you need that consistent 20 degrees, mid-level humidity. I think it was about 60 relative humidity, mid-levels, and then constant airflow. And if you can pull that off, you can pull off the most amazing teas. Right. But which I don't know much about Fujian, but I assume that a lot of places in Fujian will have the same situation. But it is absolutely beautiful day today. You can see it out the back there. In the YouTube, it's looking a little bit more cloudy. But in the Instagram, it's quite beautiful blue, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous out there. But yeah, any other questions about this stuff? So just to recap, this is the wintertime is sweeter, smoother, but that might be because it's a little bit older. But anyways, it's sweeter and smoother. This is rounder, and there's a little bit of touch of astringency in there compared to this one. Anyways, the point is this one's got more vegetal. It's rounder. It's got more flavors. This is just a blast of like sweet water. And with both these teas, I'll have them up on the site. This one's up on the site right now, but I'll add this one in and do the thing where you can buy two at the same time. I am aiming for the big sourcing trip, probably end of April. So sort of last week of April or the last 2 weeks of April. That's when I'm aiming to go on the sourcing trip. But people are still making tea. And so it's not there yet. I got to start. Actually, today I'm going to start sending messages out saying, when are you making tea? When are you making tea? When are you making tea? And seeing if I can go visit people while they're making tea. But Anyways, that's it for now. Last call for questions. Here, earthquake update would be the ground has stopped moving. So hopefully we won't get another big earthquake for about 25 years. For about 25 years, that's what I'm hoping for. And, but anyways, wherever in the world you happen to be, I hope you have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, and all of that type of stuff. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next live stream.